Synthaholics.
Welcome to Synthaholics. Thank you so much for downloading this episode. Today we are back at Season 2, the premiere of The Expanse. So we are talking about the episodes Safe and Doors and Corners. And we get the fallout of what happened on Eros and Miller joining the crew of the Rosadante. So good stuff. But we got a little bit of news, right, Dave?
We got news. Lower Decks got them their release date.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I should introduce ourselves. I'm Aaron O'Brien, and this is Dave Duncan.
I'm David Duncan.
I got way ahead of ourselves. Sorry.
We're just so excited because we haven't talked. I mean, you don't know this yet, but we haven't talked in a couple weeks.
We've been stranded. No, we haven't.
Aaron was out in the middle of the woods getting bitten by ticks and finding lost villages.
That's right. Lost villages of Tickville.
Of Atlantis. Or
lost village of Lyme disease.
Last week you heard me talking about Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, so that's why we did the little in-between, because I wasn't available. So, but we got news on Star Trek Lower Decks. We got a release date, and it looks like we're going to get it August 6th.
Ooh, so looks like we'll be talking Expanse up until then, and then we'll switch gears to Lower Decks, and we'll probably switch gears back to the Expanse. Although Tenet comes out at some point, we might be talking about Tenet.
Yeah,
in the middle of that.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about Tenet. Yeah, because I want to talk about that.
You messaged me that like a month ago. I was like, we got to talk about Tenet.
More than a month ago.
At least a month ago.
With COVID, it's like I kind of put it off my radar because it's like, I don't know when anything is going to come out.
We're going to have to see it at the drive-in so we can stay huddled in our cars.
Yeah, we'll be
we have car bubbles. Man, drive-ins will probably make a big resurgence with
They totally should, especially in the summer. You know, drive-ins are fun. And you know what? I know a lot of part of the country's drive-ins aren't around, but we are very lucky in the Buffalo, Western New York area that we have a drive-in here.
I've never been.
You've never been there?
I've never, ever once been.
Oh, it's got to go. It's good. You got it. We should do it. Yeah, we should see if we can do it.
I mean, Kaylee was saying we should go see Tenet because I mentioned to her that you said you wanted to see it, so we should.
Yeah, we should. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I think the drive-in was originally going to do a Wonder Woman Tenet because I do know our drive-in does two movies at once.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They were going to do Wonder Woman and Tenet, I think, back-to-back, but Wonder Woman got pushed back to, September, November, so it got pushed back, so it's not going to be a Tenet and Wonder Woman anymore, so I'm not sure.
It looks awesome. Wonder Woman looks great. I want to talk about that, too, when we get to that. But let's talk about Lower Decks. Just real quick, it's we were just talking before we started recording the show with the ship. It is called, what is it? The USS Ceratoso? Am I saying that right?
Ceratoso. I didn't see the name in the news, but
it's Cerritos. It's I forgot. We talked about this over a year ago. It means something. I just don't remember what it is.
Oh yeah, when we first got the news that it was going to be coming out. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
most things in Star Trek can mean things.
It's like a city in California.
But the thing is, Picard, a lot of the names and the things meant things, but it didn't make the episodes good. There's lots of hidden Easter eggs in the Picard namings of things. It's kind of brilliant. I just wish they put as much thought into the story.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
the Fenris Rangers ties into, I think, the Romulus and Remus. It ties into that lore of the gods or whatever for Romulus, Remus, and Fenris. It was all kind of tied in together from our Earth mythological standpoint. So there's lots of really cool things it makes sense. It's just, it's lost upon a lot of people because people don't research it or don't know, and they're just like, oh, it's just a name. But I mean, a lot of the names like have meaning, which is really interesting.
Yeah, no. Well, this is. I'm sorry, I said it incorrect. It's the USS Cerritos. So that's how you say it. And it looks. We were saying before, it looks like a little bit next gen-y. It's got like the kind of saucer section that looks a bit next gen, like the
Enterprise
the windows,
D, like a Galaxy class.
But then it's got, like Dave was saying, it looks like a warp sled. Like they just placed the saucer section on top of the sled with the nacelles and
and like a warp core.
Yeah, the deflector dish.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of reminded me of the Oberth because, like, the Oberth has those like weird pylons that connect the top part to the bottom part. It doesn't look like they're big enough for like turbolifts to go through. So I wonder if they'll like beam between the parts, or I mean, most starships have saucer separation of some sort, so it's just a saucer with the warp sled, so it just separates.
So just a long Jeffries tube.
Well, since it looks like the show's like basically a series of fuck ups, I'm sure they're gonna lose the warp sled at some point. They're just gonna get it blown up because they made a mistake or something. Because that seems like the obvious thing to do if like whenever you're doing a Star Trek show about a bunch of fuck ups. Because they keep on like advertising it's like the least important ship in the fleet. So I mean, like. It's bad things are going to happen, I'm sure.
Well, I'm looking at the picture of the crew, and they're right now. It's the picture I'm looking at. They're like coming through a door, and they're holding their phasers out, and like they're all kind of messed up. Like they look like they've been through something. And the one guy's got the one kid over his shoulder, and he's like covered in goo. And the cat creature is all like got black stuff all over it. It looks fun. I'm gonna admit it looks really fun.
Well, I mean,
and I like the uniforms
with the creators of Rick and Morty. I mean, I'm really hoping it's gonna be really funny because I love Rick and Morty. And if like they're in charge of writing and not letting Alex Kurtzman anywhere near it, that'll be even better. So I mean, like I've got a little bit higher hopes for this than some other things, just for the nature of Rick and Morty people working on this, but I don't know what kind of influence Alex Kurtzman and Akiva Goldsman are going to have over this, because they're both cancer.
The cool thing is, if they're the least important ship, then whatever happens isn't going to impact anything. So it doesn't have any big thing over the scheme of
Star Trek. So I mean, hopefully it can be just fun.
Just fun adventures with some jokes tucked in there. So
yeah, hopefully, yeah. I mean, and with like all established races, nothing weird. Hopefully it'll just be like nice and calm and like, I mean, not calm, but I mean like nothing like cannon breaking and shaking, because the freaking short treks are like cannon breaking all over the place.
Yeah, right.
I'm just like, why are you making these?
Yeah,
stop it.
I know. Yeah, so that's cool. So we have to look forward to that when that comes out. So that's August 6th. Good stuff. And Dave, we've got some emails from our Beyond the Farthest Star episode, right?
Yeah, we have an email from Beyond the Farthest Star. I wanted to read that email from Brad. It's been a while. I mean, like he said this to us a little while ago, and I just haven't had a chance to read it because I didn't get to read it last week because it was me and Brian didn't see the episode. He didn't listen. He wasn't on it. He didn't know anything, and I wanted Aaron to be able to kind of talk about.
Since it addresses a lot of stuff that we talked about. So we talked about Beyond Fire of the Star. We got quite political. We talked about the protests, Black Lives Matters, police brutalities, all that stuff. That was kind of tucked into the show as well. And I think we told people way before, if this is going to bother you, don't listen to this episode, because obviously it's not going to be a getaway.
It's a little bit heavier than we've done in a while. But Brad writes, on June 20th, Synthaholics, it's been a while since I've written, but I'm still out here. I'm a Patreon subscriber, and I've listened to your entire backlog catalog. I guess that makes me a fan. As a fan... Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for listening to everything. I mean, that's amazing that we've got people out there that have heard everything we've said. That's so many hours of content I'm so glad you're not tired of our voices.
I'm tired of my voice. But continue.
As a fan, I was concerned when I first saw your selection of the episode this week. Far Beyond the Stars is a difficult and racially charged episode, but brilliant in execution. It tackles many difficult themes and avoids being ham-fisted. Avery Brooks' passion shines through in every scene. I think everyone's missed the point of the episode, though. Far Beyond the Stars showed how things were in this country, but not how things are. Black authors are celebrated in our society and encouraged to express themselves in any way they want. We have freedoms today that we only imagined in Benny's time. The message wasn't of despair, but of hope, and to see how far we've come. I mean, this is us speaking now. I think that's a really interesting perspective on it. Personally, because I mean, like, the episode just seems like just devastating. It ends with him like crying and like just like shaking, and then it flips back to Deep Space Nine, and it just, you know, he's kind of like wondering, are we him? And I guess there's hope there, but it also seems just so shitty because of the way things were. Yeah, and then we're seeing all this stuff happen, and black people being treated super unfairly by our law system and everything like that, and black people get way more jail time or whatever for the same crimes as the white person. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So I mean, like, that's why I think we were kind of upset when we talked about this episode, that just the injustice across the board, kind of, and it still hasn't. I mean, it's gotten better, but it's still like not great.
Yeah, I think that's one of our thoughts. I think my thought is that we've come leaps and bounds from, when this is supposed to happen, like 1952 or 53, I can't remember, but it was around that time. And yeah, I mean, you couldn't be a black author and get your book or your story published easily. But we have gotten a lot farther. I mean, we have great black representation in a lot of places, a lot of corners. So that is a good thing. So
it's a great thing, but I think we still have so much further to go.
Oh, absolutely.
And then back to the email. We grew to love Captain Sisko, not because of his race, but because of the passion of Avery Brooks brought to the role. He was a warrior, a diplomat, a mentor, a student, and a father. The show wouldn't have worked without him. But it wasn't because of the color of his skin. To think there was a time in America where we couldn't have had this role makes me sick. I mean, I agree. Avery Brooks nailed it.
Yeah, he's a very, very, like he said, passionate actor, but also he's like, he has a commanding presence just when he walks on screen,
Absolutely. He's great. And that's what kind of made me mad when they're talking about Discovery, having the first black lead. I'm like, did you not see Deep Space Nine?
Yeah, I know. It's like
there were 7 seasons.
7 seasons.
Back to the email. As science fiction fans, the idea of discrimination is abhorrent. This is no place for exclusion when it comes to exploration, be it in the exploration of space, time, dimensions, or even the mind. We even find the idea of discrimination against alien species and artificial intelligence distasteful. Who could watch Measure of Man and not recognize Data's rights? He was a yellow-eyed, cat-loving toaster.
Of course he is.
Amen. I work as a police officer in a major city, specifically in the downtown area. I'm also a 22-year-old military veteran who finally retired this month. Am I a racist? Do I do what I do just to oppress minorities? Based on the conversation, that's what I felt.
I really felt that we weren't talking that. I mean, there's more than one time I think we came in that conversation and we were like, definitely like, not all police officers are like this. I know people who are police officers, and I know they're not like that.
My fiance's cousin's a police officer, so I mean, yeah, it's we've got that.
I think we're saying that there are some people that use their authority to be just giant assholes, and I don't know, but about your experience, but I'm sure there are some that are out there that just because they've got that authority, they're going to wield it, and not just against black people, but with anybody.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if we made you feel that way, for sure.
Yeah, no, that was not the intention.
Yeah. So he continues saying, Guy used the Stanford prison experiment as a basis for anything in the flawed argument. Thank you, David, for being my voice in this argument. Yes, the result was shocking, but for an experiment to have any validity, you have to have requirements of how the data was collected. Was there a control group? Were the rules enforced? where the rules changed once the experiment began. Well, since the experiment was so interesting, why haven't they reproduced the results? Because the laws put in place to prevent it from being done again. But that's not exactly objective, is it? The experiment is always used as a reference, but it could be easily disproven within a modern recreation. There's even a push to dismiss it completely. And this is me speaking again. There's actually a Vsauce YouTube episode where they did recreate the Stanford prison experiment, but they did it super vague. And no one knew what they were doing. And they actually did stuff in a black room. They're trying to build a puzzle, but they were trying to take away the role of like prison. And they were just seeing how people could be cruel to each other, even though no one was actually being cruel to anyone. But there was a perception they could be cruel to someone because they set this up as a competition where they're trying to build a puzzle in the dark, in pitch black, by just feel in a control group. And they had a buzzer, and they got buzzed by the people running the experiment. But they thought they were told it was the other team that would be buzzing them, and they could buzz them back, and they controlled the intensity. And like people weren't mean. I mean, some people would buzz back, but some people would just be, okay, let's just keep working. So, I mean, like, it was an interesting way of doing it. So, I would definitely look up Vsauce Stanford Prison Experiment, because that's an interesting way how they did kind of reproduce it, but in a super controlled, very vague way. And they said, they basically came to the conclusion people weren't mean to be mean. And a lot of people just tried to, like, get past it and just kind of do what they were told to do.
Interesting. Just to bring this up, I was the one who brought up the Stanford prison experiment, Brad. So that's was me. I think Guy did most of the majority of talking because that's what Guy usually does.
Well, Guy did bring it back up a couple times. Throughout.
But I don't. Dave sent me the link that you sent me about this Inside Hired, talking about the new Stanford prison experiment revelations, questions, findings. I looked that up and I read it. It's a very interesting piece. Like I said, that was only like 101 psychology when I went to college. It was like the first year. And I'm not a psychology major. It was like you take psychology as part of your courses, and I remember learning about it, and I don't know if I did a paper on it or not. It's too long ago for me to remember now, but it stuck in my head, and I read the article, and it brings up some very valid points about what the experiment was, and it wasn't technically a study because, like you said, there was no control group. And has it been reproduced? No, they've tried to do similar things, but they haven't done it quite like what they've done before too. So, and were some of the guards coached into being harder on the so-called prisoners? There's questionable. It's questionable, right? I read the article, and I also I looked at the professor, the Stanford professor, Philip Zimbardo. His response to these criticisms, and he denies it. He basically says the guards were not prodded to be more aggressive, but they were told they have to be guards. That's what they have to do. The other thing that was interesting about it, which I never even thought about, is that it was actually advertised to the students. We're doing a prison experiment, and because you were saying the prison experiment, that certain people are going to be drawn to that.
Yeah.
Meaning that certain people who have sadistic feelings, and they want to do that. There was even somebody in that article that you sent to us that talked about they had seen Cool Hand Luke, the movie, and great movie, but he was trying to emulate the guards in that. Some of the guards in there. So, There's a good point to that. Like you're bringing people in who already have an idea that they might be they can be cruel to people. So I'm not saying that was everybody, but there's other stuff. There's like somebody was saying someone had a complete breakdown, and they were like, I got to get the fuck out of here. I got to get out, And then later he said, I just was doing that to get out because I had to do my CREs. I had to study for them, and he was doing that. But Zimbardo, the experiment leader, say he's just saying that because he's embarrassed now how he lost it. in there. So that was Zimbardo's retort for all that. But it's a questionable thing. It is questionable. I only use it as an example. You can look at other things that are, experiments. The Milgram experiment, where it was another psychological experiment where they would have like a teacher and a student, and they would have like a subject, and the teacher would say they would have them give them electrical shocks. Now the person who was supposed to be getting electrical shocks were not getting any shocks. They were just acting. So they would turn it up, and they kept on telling the student to turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. And some students would go totally listen to whatever the teacher said, and would just be turning up even when the actor would act like he's unconscious. So I mean, not everybody did that, but that was one of the things that the people were like, holy shit, some people can do really pretty freaking sadistic. So, all these things can be, I guess, debated, and there's good things to debate about that too. But I only brought it up because I think that there are some people who are attracted to being somewhat sadistic, Machiavellian kind of thing, where they want to, take control and use the power that they have against other people. I'm not saying that for you, Brad. I'm just saying, or even other people that you work with. I'm just saying that you got to at least recognize there's got to be those people out there.
The email continues. Well, I mean, I've already kind of responded to him in email. Yeah. So I mean, this is. I mean, I'll respond to some things, but this is more your response because I've kind of emailed him, and I'll say things as I need to if I didn't say it in the email. His email continues. The fact is, I've worked in law enforcement for over a decade. I only became a police officer because inmates in jail I worked at were told me to become a cop. They told me if I became a cop, they would know there was at least one honest cop in the world. And I've tried my best to help others and do the right thing. I've tried to help uphold Starfleet values in everything I do, as corny as that sounds.
That is not corny. That's
amazing.
Is very noble.
You're
and
awesome.
I love that. And if there are more people in the world like you, I don't think we'd be having as many problems out there.
Especially if they're in politics, for the love of God.
Yes, yes.
If I've tried to inspire hope and peace in my interactions with the public, I've tried to inspire hope and peace with my interactions with the public, and I like to believe I've done a good job. I've always wanted to do better. But I've always wanted to do better. So, yeah, he's done great, but he holds himself to a high standard. Sure. So what does this mean for me today? I'm looking to quit being a cop. My kids are young, and I'm getting old. My health is getting worse, and I don't know how much longer I will live. So do I want to spend the time I have left doing this? More than anything, why am I going to keep risking my life for people who hate me and the color of my skin? People tell me all the time they don't even want to see a white person, and certainly won't talk with one. And if I want them to do anything, I better be a black cop. Businesses won't serve me, even though I always pay full price and never accept handouts. I have family members who have stopped talking to me, even talking to me when I became a police officer. I've been called atrocious things every day, and it hurts. It hurts when people call me a baby killer in the military and blame me for trading blood for oil. It hurts now when the same people spit in my mouth when I was trying to get the box cutter out of his hand because he was trying to kill himself on high ground. When he was trying to kill himself while high on drugs. Now he calls me an oppressor. It should hurt, and I refuse to become callous and turn my back on those in need. I've put up with it for a long time, refusing to be bitter and continuing to serve. Everything for me has changed when the first night of protests. Someone threw a brick through a window of a squad car and hit my friend in the face. He's a good man, a good cop, a black officer who moved here from another state for a job. What did he do to deserve it? The Stanford prison experiment said he was a fascist, so he got what was coming to him? I'm sorry, but this isn't good enough. Someone once told me that a city gets the law enforcement they deserve. If they treat their police well, don't overload them, and train them responsibly, they get good cops. Society will soon lose another good cop and keep a few more brutal sadists. I'm sorry to dump all this on you. Things have been hard, As the time I write this, someone just walked past with a sign that says, "You can't reform white supremacy, abolish the police." They won't even look at me. Keep up the good work on your channel. I've been meaning to tell you, I love the new logo. Very Star Trek motion picture. Any chance I can get a t-shirt? I love the book club. I was on an army mission last year with no electricity, and I read Dune cover to cover while I was there. Hyperion next. It was directly inspired by Dune, and epic storytelling over 4 books. Feel free to read, paraphrase this email, throw it all together. Thanks for listening, Brad.
Brad, that was an awesome email, and let me just tell you, Hyperion, I actually have the book, and I haven't got a chance to read it yet, so I would love to get into that soon. But on top of all that, you're in an impossible position right now. Unfortunately, you have to stand up and be the most noble person, where you have, like you said, a bunch of sadists out there who, and I'm saying all of them are sadists, but you've admitted that some are brutal sadists. And, what are you going to do? It's like if one person does bad. What is it? Somebody keeps making the joke that Chris Rock made a joke. Like cops are like airline pilots. You can't have a bad airline pilot, right?
Yeah.
Because, you're going to freaking crash the plane and kill everybody. So, I mean, it's like everyone needs to be like freaking amazing. So that's a high standard you hold yourself to, and I appreciate that. And I think a lot of people do. I don't think the Stanford Prison Experiment says that you're a fascist. I think that what it was trying to show is that people can influence other people to be mean-spirited. And I mean, and I'm sure you've seen it, and you probably have to fight against that, when you see it. I don't know. I mean, that's your experience, so I can't speak to it.
Yeah. But I mean, I love that Brad, that you've been trying to hold Starfleet values. That's amazing. It's not corny. I'm glad that you're such a good person and that you've been working so hard, even though people are just been like absolutely terrible to you. But I mean, like, you got kids, you're getting old. I would say, like, get out while you can. Try to get some other work that's not as dangerous, so you can, like, spend time with your kids and live a long life. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm of the opinion that a lot of people are saying abolish the police. I take abolish the police as a strong statement to scare the shit out of people because they think they're going to do that. I think what you're saying, which a lot of people are saying, is the police can't do all the things we're asking them to do. They can't possibly, stop criminals and rapists and thieves and all this stuff, and also play counselor, and also
they should, like for domestic disputes, they should literally send out like freaking psychologists or whatever, have roaming psychologists to take those kind of calls. Like
there should be also, and maybe have a police officer there just to be in case things get out of control. But they're just there for the to make sure everyone's safe. Mm. But yeah, there should be more of that stuff. There should be more drug treatment programs, and not not have all those stuff get cut all the time, because that's always on the chopping block. All these drug programs to get people rehabilitated. At 1 minute we'll have funding, and next minute they'll take all the funding away. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's a mess, and that's what we need to really start caring about people. I just don't think, honestly, as Dave says, I don't think a lot of these higher ups, if it's mayors, if it's governors, even our, higher senators and presidents, don't really care about the common man. I think we unfortunately are all kind of like tied into this whole, unfortunately, corporate sponsored democracy, where they're like, yeah, we'll worry about you, but until first we got to take care of our corporate sponsors.
Yeah, it's insane.
And unfortunately, we get the shaft all the time, so we don't get the funding we need, and we don't get to do it. I mean, it's too much to ask of the police to do all those things, and maybe we need to reimagine what the police do and what other ways we can help society. So
yeah, absolutely.
But that's a great email, and
thank you so much for writing and pouring out your heart to us. I mean, it's great to hear from from you, and
obviously we hit a nerve.
Yeah, yeah, we're sorry.
And and honestly, we didn't mean to upset you. And Stanford's prison experiment is only me talking about my limited knowledge on psychology. So
yeah,
I know some things, but I don't know a ton of things. I'm not. It's not my wheelhouse. I took some courses in college on it.
Yeah, sounds good. But now, on to The Expanse. So, guys, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. Since The Expanse is new and we want to try to hit on newer things, we're thinking we'll do a lot more minimal recaps, since that's probably not as interesting to hear as just a discussion on it. So we're going to do a lot shorter recaps, like find a sentence or two description of each episode, and then kind of go into it. Hopefully you'll like this feel of the episodes better. Let us know what you think. You can always email us at synthaholics@yahoo.com. But we are into season 2 of The Expanse.
And just on top of that, we did the recaps originally because a lot of people said we didn't know what episode we were talking about.
Well, because we were doing Star Trek, and there's 700 something episodes of Star Trek. It might be close to 800 now with the 2 seasons of Discovery and a season of Picard. So I mean, there's so many episodes. So we originally did that as response to feedback on Star Trek episodes. So going forward, we're talking about new Star Trek episodes as they come out, Lower Decks, like we were talking about earlier, season 3 of Discovery, Picard. We'll probably start doing like sentence or 2 recaps, and then just get into it and just do more discussion. And since The Expanse is relatively new, and you guys are obviously Expanse fans, if you're listening to this, you know what's happening. So we're just gonna kind of go into it, and it's just, with it being serialized, for me, all the stuff kind of runs together in my head anyway.
Yeah, true enough.
So here we go. So the first episode of season 2 is Safe. Miller and Holden and the rest of the crew deal with the aftermath of the narrow escape from Eros. Martian Marine Gunnery Sergeant Bobby Draper and her platoon witnesses growing tensions between Earth and Mars. And then episode 2 is Doors and Corners. With the help of Fred Johnson and the OPA, Miller, Holden, and his crew raid for the information on the protomolecule on Earth. Christian learns a truth about Fred Johnson.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Man, season 2, it opened up with the Bobby Draper running out. And her platoon, and they're just trying to do stuff on Mars, and it's like who are they fighting? Aren't they on Mars?
Yeah, I was curious, but obviously it was just kind of do a training thing. But what I thought was really cool was that they had their machine guns in their armor under their hands. Oh
yeah, built in. I think I saw online somewhere that their armor was created by the same studio that did Iron Man's armor, the fabrication place that fabricated the armor for Iron Man. They fabricated Bobby's outfit. And, I don't know, my initial impressions of Bobby, because she's, super, Mars this, we're gonna, fight. Mars. I thought she was gonna, I mean, my initial impression with her is, she's gonna cause the war between,
She's a loose fire, she's a loose cannon there.
Well, but she's just so, adamant, and she's really badass, too. So, I mean, I'm not gonna get into what she does, because we're not there yet. But I just know my initial impression was oh man, is she gonna cause the rift between Earth and Mars? Is she gonna be trigger happy? That's how she was kind of presented at first. She's so gung-ho.
She even has a whole thing with her commanding officer. He's like, hey, I was there where they were gonna nuke. They were going to nuke Mars.
Yeah.
And, we were worried that we weren't going to see the next day. And then, thankfully, cooler heads prevailed.
It's the Cuban Missile Crisis in space.
I thought the exact same thing. I thought Cuban Missile Crisis right there. And she just kind of looks at him like, yeah, we all were told that bedtime story.
We knew that story from when we were babies.
And he's like, yeah, you were told it because it was a serious thing and we could have all died. So let's try to be cool here, Draper. And she's kind of looks at him angrily, yeah, right. I'm gonna Like, I'm gonna play cool.
I wonder if JFK2 ordered all the nice Martian cigars before placing the Martian embargo after the Martian missile crisis.
Do you know the CIA was trying to put explosives in Castro cigars?
Yes.
So he would smoke it and they would explode and kill him.
And it failed. That was on the last podcast on the left. We listened to the JFK episode.
Oh, yeah. I knew that before that, but I didn't know. I forgot to even mention that.
Yeah, that was part of that episode. I remember that. But, yeah, I mean, she's an awesome character. And, like, I mean, as the series goes on, she's probably like, in, like, my top 3 or 4 characters on the expansion. She is amazing. Interesting,
because I haven't got that far ahead yet, because I started watching ahead, but then I got sidelined.
What's your initial take on her? Because I was telling you mine, because I was like,
she seems hot-headed. I mean, she seems controlled, especially with her own unit.
Yeah,
she seems like she's keeping the peace between them. Obviously, you got that one kid, I forgot his name right now, but the one Marine who immigrated from Earth to Mars when he was like 5 years old. Yeah, he gives shit, but he's like, he's still Martian.
I love how the other Marines were like, in her platoon were like, you should go sleep with the sergeant.
Yeah, and he says, I don't use sex as a weapon.
I use weapons as weapons.
Yeah.
She's great. I love Bobby Draper. She's amazing. She gets better, but I gotta say, at first I was like, oh, she's in a cross. I thought she was gonna be a bad guy, and she's not. She's not a bad guy. She's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And it was funny. You said the name of the episode, and I obviously I knew the name, but I just realized when I heard the name Safe that they were safe from Eros. But there's about the safe that they cracked open.
Yeah, because
put those two together.
that was like a leftover from season 1. Where because we're still technically in the first book of Leviathan Wakes at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So that safe, they open up the safe in the episode, and like I didn't, like, when I first was watching season 1, I didn't know a lot about the lore. I've done a lot more research on it and how their ships are set up and everything, and just by the way the ships were and how the gravity worked in season 1, I always figured the ships were oriented like a rocket ship, but the season 2 like confirms it for sure, because you get the camera pulling in, and Amos is standing. The ship is like like horizontal, like you see him in Star Trek or whatever, but Amos is standing like sideways to that, because the way the decks of the ship are set up. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like this, I figured they were set that way, but I was like, it was nice seeing the confirmation that that's how the ships are laid out.
Why do they change them like that? Do they have I mean, they don't have anti-grav decks.
They do not have yeah, because the reason they're sideways when they're flying like that is because, I mean, the decks are, it's like, think of a rocket ship before it launches on Earth. The decks are up and down, not left and right. So
that's what I thought they were.
Yeah, and they are.
I thought they were like Star Trek. I'm sorry.
No. The ship was oriented like Star Trek, but he was like 90 degrees to that.
Right. Yeah, okay, that's how I thought it was.
That's how it was, and that's in season 1. That's how I thought it was based on what they were showing, but they didn't.
Because when they stop, they start floating around.
Yeah, but they never showed an exterior shot like that until season 2. So then we've got the visual confirmation that's how the ships are laid out. And I was like, okay, that's how I thought they were, but it was nice to see it,
right?
For real, with Amos breaking open the safe. And there's some nice proto-molecule in the safe. It's like,
look at that.
Is that a good place to put your proto-molecule?
Don't put it. And they, and they have to decide what they're going to do with it. So they're going to just stash it out in some
stash it on some asteroid,
and hope that nobody ever finds it.
Space is a big place, and there's lots of just like floating rocks. I mean, there's like hundreds of, if not thousands of, like near Earth asteroids that like nearly miss us like a couple times a year, because they're just like in an orbit where they like come near our atmosphere. Yeah. I know I read on scientific things that, like, we have like near misses a couple times a year. From, like,
and you know what? That really chaps my ass, because a lot of news organization goes, like asteroids going to be close to hitting Earth, and I'm like, and then you read it, it's like millions of miles away or something like that. It's like, okay. It's relative in space, like near miss doesn't mean they're going to totally hit us. There's a chance they could hit, but probably they won't. So,
but I mean, it's just interesting. There's so many near Earth objects, but I mean, the vast majority of our asteroids are in the belt, between Mars and Jupiter, like in the show, and then there's the Kuiper belt out around the same distance as Pluto.
Right, exactly. And what's interesting is that first they were just put on a torpedo and fire it into the sun. And they're like, yeah, they'll do it. And then they're like, and Naomi's like, wait, maybe this could give people a cure. We don't know what we're dealing with here. All those people in Eros could maybe be cured.
Making it a bargaining chip, which is like a smart idea.
But they don't want to give it to Fred Johnson. They know one thing. Do not give it to Fred Johnson.
Oh, come on. Fred's not a bad guy, right?
Yeah, he's like...
I still don't know if Fred Johnson's a bad guy. I've seen the entire series. I'm like, huh.
Yeah, he's just kind of like that in-between kind of guy.
He's gray through and through. And he's to me,
except when he killed all those people.
I mean, yeah, no, but I mean, like, that was in the past. But I mean, as far as the show goes, his current actions, he's been in the gray for like a while. And like, I mean, he's not... I mean, he's probably going to end up being a good guy, but I mean, I also wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being a bad guy later on. You know what I mean? Like, he's like perfectly gray in the show, I think. Yeah. As far as we're seeing him currently throughout, and that's just my take on it.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of on the fence because I've watched a few episodes ahead on season 2, and Fred Johnson and the crew seem to get a little more along. They're not as abrasive, but. You still know he's doing all these power plays. So, the other thing I thought was really, especially for Safe, was really powerful was the interaction between Miller and Amos.
Oh, that was so great. It's just like Amos, like, yeah, I killed your guy. I mean, take a swing at me if you need to.
Yeah, but Amos just like knocks Miller right on his ass
immediately. Miller goes back for seconds.
Miller, first of all, he's getting over radiation sickness, and there's even a lot of jokes, you'll never have kids again. At least, and I guess the medicine they have, at least they get to keep their hair. Yeah. And thanks for the radiation, stuff like that.
Thanks for the cancer.
Thanks for the cancer. That was it. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of great jokes that are with the radiation poisoning, but he's still sick. And Amos just lays him out, just in the kitchen there when they get in each other's face.
Amos tells him to stay down, and Miller comes back for seconds, and Amos like almost chokes him out on the table. Like Amos is just like
he was going to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, like but the thing is, like Amos is so black and white about things. He's like, look, you can take a swing at me, it's fine, but I'm gonna fight back if you're gonna start a fight.
Yeah, but don't you think at some point he's got to be like, what does it serve to kill this guy right now? You know, that's part where Amos falls apart for me. Like I was warming up to Amos a little bit, but when I saw this scene, I was sort of just like, This might have actually been before I start warming up to Amos more. I think in a couple more scenes I'll warm up to him even more.
Yeah.
But this scene kind of took me back. I was like warming up to him a little bit, and then I was like, fuck that guy. Because I like Miller. I like Miller a lot.
I like Miller a lot too, but I mean also like Amos a lot. But I mean also you don't take a swing at a guy. I mean but the thing is, I think Miller took a swing at him because Miller has nothing to live for.
Well, Miller doesn't have anything to live for, and him and Semi were like kids, friends since they were childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, they became police together, the whole thing. So I mean, like, this is his lifelong friend, and Amos shot him, and honestly, Semi was tripping. He really was. He shouldn't have been doing what he did. Like he was shooting. He's pointing his gun at Naomi and threatening everybody. Yeah. And I know he was under stress and that things looked pretty bleak. But she said we're going to wait for Holden to get back. So. But
the thing is, like Naomi, who's known Holden for like max 2 or 3 years, like working on the Cant.
Yeah.
And then versus lifelong friends, she's like, "Oh, I'm going to stay for him," and like they've known each other for years. And Simi's like, "Yeah, leave him."
Yeah,
so
but also, but Naomi knows that Holden came back for them on the Donager.
Yeah, that's true. She's got that.
She feels like, this guy is better than I assumed maybe he was originally.
Built in loyalty. I mean, it's true, but but like I said, going back to what I was saying, Miller has nothing to live for. He was living for Julie Mao. Julie Mao is dead in her freaking shower.
Yeah.
So he's got nothing to live for. He was like, especially he got fired. He doesn't even have his job. He doesn't have his health. He was like freaking irradiated. He's barely alive. He doesn't have anything to live for. He's a belter, so he's just inherent. Even if he was the same age as Amos, he's inherently weaker just because Amos was born on Earth.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, he's like, I'm gonna get revenge for my friend by punching this big Earther, but also I've got nothing to live for. If he kills me, no skin off my back. I've got nothing to live for anyway.
Right.
I mean, that's just kind of my take on it. Because I do love Miller and I do love Amos, but I mean, Miller's reasoning for doing it's like, I got nothing going for me, so I guess I'll. Because Miller starts doing all sorts of stuff outside his comfort zone because he's got, like I said, nothing to live for.
Yeah, exactly. And he doesn't mind going into, obviously he's a fish out of water now that he's off series, so.
Flying on ships. Doing weird stuff.
Yeah, so that's one of those really, cool scenes, but also kind of pissed me off. But I was like, yeah, that's good. And Naomi had to stop Amos from killing him. Yes. So
at least he listens to Naomi still.
It's funny because Naomi later comes to him and goes, "You ever hear the old story of Pinocchio?" Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Oh, she's Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah,
she's his conscious."
Yeah, that's exactly
what she is.
Basically what she is to Amos. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, we get the whole things on Earth. Obviously, Airite and Jules Meow.
Jules Pierre Meow.
We find out that they are totally working together now.
They are totally in bed together. They're in bed everything together. But the bed.
And he's like, and Mao basically said, "Hey, I sacrificed my daughter for this shit. You can make up some dog shit stuff to get the UN ships over there and doing what we need to do to get this protomolecule thing under control." Mm-hmm. So
basically Mars and Earth are sending ships to Phoebe. Mars ends up beating them, and Mars blows it up. And so everyone's like, "Oh, what are they hiding?" And the other one's like, "Oh, what are they hiding?" So there's all sorts of crap going on between the governments because no one knows what's going on.
And they have the UN meeting, and Christian almost gets killed. OPA sends some kind of explosive on her plane, and she gets almost killed. So she almost does the whole Princess Amidala on the landing pad.
It's very much like that, except, oh my god, her clothes are so much better season 2 than they were in season 1. Her clothes got a massive upgrade.
Yeah, it did.
Wow.
And she knows that something's up. She knows Airite, something's going on. Because when they have that UN meeting, the admiral of the UN fleet is kind of just like, we're just going to escalate things, and Mars doesn't want to escalate. They don't. They want to build, domes for their people. They don't want to go to war. Mm. And Airite's like, no, redeploy the fleet. Make sure that we're on every Martian vessel that's being mobilized. And
then the good guy, the good fleet admiral, he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then we get the little asshole guy, who becomes the fleet command. I don't like him. He's a bad guy. Very bad guy. So the fear is that what Airite and Mao are talking is that they're afraid that the Eros is more people are going to show up at Eros now. They put the warning beacons out, but just not to go to Eros because infected. But they said do-gooders are trying to get there, and also people are trying to raid, are going to scavenge Eros, and they can't go there. Mm-hmm. So so they find out that there's the Thoth station where all the scientists are doing their stuff, and they need to get a whole bunch of OPA people to go and raid it with Holden and the Rocinante. Mm-hmm. And Fred Johnson just airlocks a dude for trying to pull faction on him in the OPA.
That was pretty. I mean, that was cold, but he had to play top dog there.
Yeah, and then but they get people, and then freaking Miller joins the crew to go down on to raid Arrow Station. I love the scene where before they go, Alex is training to be a to learn how to fight better, and they're doing all these simulations.
Oh yeah, doing the simulations over and over again. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, we kind of glossed over the fact that when they were going to shoot the proto-monocle out on that torpedo thing, they were going to hide it. When they were setting it up, Holden and Naomi, they hook up.
Oh yeah, they start doing the sex thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're doing the sex thing. So
she knows she knows he's sterile, so she's like, yeah, good to go.
Good to go. Cancer.
She literally sterilized him with the
I know she did. Yeah, I know she did.
She's like, good to go.
Yeah, don't have to worry.
Shooting blanks forever now.
I mean, still could have venereal disease, but whatever.
Well, at least they can't get preggers.
I mean, if they can cure cancer, I'm sure they can cure venereal diseases. So at this point,
it's kind of great in The Expanse. Like no one has to be a doctor. It's like they killed the doctor within the first 2 or 3 episodes of the series, but no one.
Arthur Two Sheds Jackson.
Yeah, 2 sheds. Yeah. So they've got all the equipment so advanced anyone can. In the future, medicine so advanced the caveman can do it.
Caveman can do it, or Bigfoot.
Good God.
Good God. Yeah. So we also get the crew at the very end, eating lasagna together.
Yeah. Alex makes some protein lasagna.
Yeah, and they're all having a big lovey-dovey time together. And I mean, even Miller shows up, and him and Miller Amos and Miller look at each other and
have some lasagna together.
Can I have some lasagna? Have a breadstick. Never-ending breadsticks. Never-ending breadsticks.
They wish it was. Oh, they talk about the cheese caper. The next episode, they basically assault Phoebe Station.
Yeah, Phoebe's. That was a very tense thing because they're.
not Phoebe. I'm sorry. Thoth Station. Thoth.
They do the Thoth.
Yeah, that's the space station they go to.
Oh, the space station. I'm sorry. I'm talking. The Martians destroy the Phoebe station. Yeah,
Martians destroyed Phoebe, which is one of Saturn's moons. It's where the protomolecule originated.
Right, exactly. So that they were trying to cover up that evidence, and they didn't want people knowing about that shit.
Alex gets all trained up so he can fight the stealth ship, which they know is hiding around Phoebe Station. And I just, like I said earlier, I love that sequence because Alex is like, I got to be a better pilot. I'm not hauling spaghetti anymore.
You got the sauce too now, kid, and the meatballs.
Yeah, gotta keep everything. And and Miller signs up for the drop ship, and he meets his water stealing kid. Yeah,
and honestly, I know, I think I said this before, but I didn't realize it was the same kid. I had to take back. I was like, wait, who's that kid? And I had to look him up. I was like, oh, that's the kid from the water thing.
The water, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's crazy. So.
And I know they haven't shown much of Drummer yet. Drummer's Johnson's female cohort in this she works for him.
Right.
She's not much in these 2 episodes, but she's I think she becomes my second favorite character in The Expanse.
Okay.
She is amazing. Drummer. Oh man, I can't wait to see more of her again because she's not much in these couple episodes, but she's kind of she's super dry. And she's she's got that really thick Belter accent. It's kind of sexy.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny. The accents are great, but sometimes if I don't have the subtitles on, I have no idea what they're saying. A couple times, I remember the first couple episodes I watched, especially on series, I didn't know what they were saying. I was like, I thought they were literally speaking another language, so I put on the subtitles, and then I could understand what they're saying. I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, with the Belter talk with the
the Belter talk it's pretty clever because the Creo that they've set up for him is pretty clever. So
yeah,
it's nice.
It's real good. It's man, there's some great Belters in some upcoming seasons that are just really good.
Yeah, but so they have to infiltrate that the station there, that has what's his name, Dresden, who they saw his files before. They were kind of watching his files of what happened on Phoebe Station, so they know what happened on Phoebe with the protomolecule.
And that was their first experiment, and that they needed something bigger, which is why they chose Eros.
Right, exactly. So, and then that's why they decided they're going to try to get more information from this Dresden. Dresden, he's like a amoral person. Like, I don't mean amoral. He's like, he has no morals. He's just like, kind of just like, we just needed to get the information about this protomolecule, and who cares who dies. Yeah.
I mean, when they raid the station, they get on it, which is a really great sequence, and they're using FedEx. They're using FedEx cargo containers as drop ships, which I thought was hilarious.
Do you think they did that? Like, got like FedEx say, "Hey, we're going to do."
Was that sponsored? I don't know if that's in the book. I got to find. I'm not that far in the book yet.
Well, is this when Amazon took over? No, this is still Sci-Fi.
Season 1, 2, and 3 are Sci-Fi.
Yeah, I just was wondering because I
just thought that was hilarious. FedEx trucks. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, like, right.
Does FedEx still exist in the future, or are these just old trucks? They
just slapped old trucks to it.
Yeah, just like rutted trucks, sealed them up, put an air recycler on them, and called it a day.
Yeah, funny. It's great stuff.
Kind of amazing. And apparently, all the scientists on Thoth are just using gel capsules. Gel guns or whatever, because like the kid gets shot and you think his head got exploded, but it's just
I did too at that first. I was like, oh shit, and
I was like, oh no, but yeah, they're just Miller's like, stop. They use gel, so I mean, like, even though he's a fish out of water in space, his cop knowledge is proving useful here. All these weirdos are hooked up to this virtual reality machine, and what'd you think about that? Wasn't that bizarre?
It reminded me of the
Lawnmower Man.
No, yeah. It reminded me of the Enterprise episode with the Romulans with the experimental ship.
Oh, yeah,
where they had that albino Romulan that was running everything.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
And then, like, they unhooked him from the thing, and they all went berserk, and they started killing him. I was like, no, gotta keep him alive.
I know, and it's like, and I know we're going to find out more about these guys, but these guys are fucked up.
They are so messed up.
Yeah, these are fucked up. So I cannot wait to talk about that.
Yeah, they got magnetic lobotomies.
Yeah, it's
basically
insane. Magnetic lobotomies. Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And the last podcast on the left is also talking about lobotomies lately. So that's why
we are totally the official promoters of Last Podcast.
Yes, if only they would promote us half as much.
Yeah, we would go a lot further in life.
Well, absolutely. But what'd you think about what Miller does here at Thoth?
Oh, when he just shoots Dresden?
Yeah.
Oh my god! I was like, "What? You maniac!
You maniac!" Oh man, I was so mad at Miller. I was so mad at Miller.
I was pretty like, "You fucking idiot! You just shot him!" And like we could get all this information.
All this information. It's so interesting. I was just like, it was like, what? This dead end. How did they just kill this guy? Like, he's got all this information for the. Like, I want to know what this thing is, and it just like steps on it, just destroys it. Like, what? No, but.
He was like, man. Yeah, he was evil. He had to die.
I mean, yeah, but like.
Well, I mean, that was Miller's thought. I mean, I didn't agree with it.
Oh yeah, but I just was like, no, Miller, don't. Why'd you? I just like, it's just crazy. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna like figure out another way, but just, man, I was just so mad at Miller. Like, what'd you do? This is like plot gold here. You just killed it.
You just shit all over it, Miller.
Miller, damn it. He's sad. His sperm doesn't work anymore.
What did you think of that big fight at the station with Alex going against the was it the Martian? No, it was the Earth.
It was the stealth ship. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, like, I love how they handled the space battles. They had to evacuate all the air, and so that if they got shot, they didn't have to worry about sealing it up immediately. They just got all that in their space suits. It was really cool. Like, in space battle in the Expanse is unlike anything sci-fi I've ever seen before. It's
really cool.
So cool, and it's like as close to reality as possible, because you do torpedoes for super long range, you do rail guns for medium range, and then you do the PDCs for close range, and I'm like, it makes sense. And they're still using realistic weapons, so I mean, like it's really cool. I mean, like Star Trek's got phasers and photon torpedoes and quantum torpedoes and all this other stuff, but it's just really
that's the thing in Star Trek. You always see them; they're like right on each other, but that's really not how it would be. Very rarely in Star Trek would they be that close. They'd be like kilometers apart, like very far.
Yeah,
because the phasers can go at the speed of light, so they're just like shoot as fast as they hit, and torpedoes are incredibly fast too. So
I guess it's just more exciting for them to look like they're like close to each other, like a dogfight. But I mean, but instead of exciting, Expanse builds tension. It's like, oh crap, are they gonna be able to stop the torpedo? Because they can't. Like they had a couple of seconds. I mean, in the book, it was like they had minutes, and before the thing said, it's like, oh, are they able to stall them? Like there was like a lot of time. It's like the tension is interesting, is an interesting feeling in the fight instead of the excitement of a fast battle. It's more like a battle with tension. So I mean, it's a very different way of doing space battles, and it works really well. It's different, and I like that, because there's like no tension in Star Wars. There's very little tension in the space battles in Star Trek. Yeah. And the only time I felt tension was like in Star Trek Beyond, when the little small ships just tore up the Enterprise, because that was like it's like losing your favorite character and like on a show.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's just like that was painful to watch. I mean, I think that was the most tense I've ever been watching Star Trek.
Really? That's it. That was it. That was what did you in right there. That's interesting.
That was the most tension I felt entering a space battle in Star Trek, probably, because it's just the Enterprise was just getting wrecked, and it was just losing nacelles left and right, lost the saucer section. It was just, it kind of gutted me seeing the Enterprise getting destroyed like that. I mean, it got messed up in Wrath of Khan, but I mean,
and into Undiscovered Country.
Undiscovered Country. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, like I don't know. I guess I was younger when they came out, so like my initial seeing them, I'd seen them so many times by the time I was older. Yeah. The thought of tension wasn't really I mean, as an adult, maybe if I'd never seen them before, it might have felt like a little bit more tension. I
gotta say, The Expanse, makes space battles so much better. I mean, I love obviously a good Star Trek, ship to ship fight, but this makes it more realistic, more gritty, more believable. Yeah, I love it. It's just so cool how they do things. Yeah. This show really has got it all figured out, man.
Yeah, they've done such a great job on the science part and the story part. It's just, I mean, I can't say enough good things about The Expanse. If you guys you're still here because you're from Star Trek and you haven't seen The Expanse, absolutely watch The Expanse.
Yeah, why aren't you watching The Expanse? Get Amazon Prime, because you're going to probably get order packages anyways, and you can watch the movies. There's good movies on there. Not a lot of great movies, but
there's some stuff on there. I mean,
a lot of Star Trek actually. A lot of Star Trek on Amazon Prime actually. I just watched Undiscovered Country maybe a couple weeks back. I was like, oh, Undiscovered Country's on here.
There's Man in the High Castle. There's the Tick. Yeah. There's
don't talk to me about the Tick.
There's was it The Boys? Oh, The Boys is fucking amazing.
Is great. Yeah, so
good. There's good stuff to watch on Amazon Prime beside The Expanse, but The Expanse is just so good. Yeah. So definitely check out The Expanse, and keep tuning into us, because we love talking about it. It's just a phenomenal
Keep talking
show.
To us. Keep listening, because we are going to try to wrap up this Expanse, and hopefully we get it done fast enough so we can get into Lower Decks. So I don't know where we'll be. We'll have to plot that one out.
Well, I mean, Lower Decks will be starting in August, so I mean, we'll probably be in season 2 maybe by then. I mean, we're in season 2 right now. Maybe season 3 by then. But I mean, the thing is, I mean, we don't want to burn it too quick, because we got probably till December or later for Expanse season 5 to come out. So I mean, we got time. Ideally, we'd like to finish before season 5 comes out, so we can talk about season 5 fresh. As it's coming out, which would be fantastic, because
that would be great. I'd love that.
I can't wait. That way we can do rotations of like Discovery, Expanse, Picard, Lower Decks, and have like all new shows we're talking about all the time. So we got a couple seasons to catch up on, and then we'll be there. But man, The Expanse hasn't let me down yet.
No, it's not. Me neither.
It's been great, and I mean, like we talked about last episode, what they did in 10 episodes was just amazing. Yeah, and I'm so glad they didn't have to wrap up the entire first book, because I mean we're 2 episodes into season 2, and we're still not at the end of the first book yet. We still got a couple more episodes before we actually get to the end of the first book.
And oh, what an ending!
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So next week it'll probably be Guy in there. I mean, we haven't asked him yet, so we're just kind of assuming. But
we're hoping. But he says he'll talk about Expanse anytime, any place, anywhere.
So in a bathroom and Delta Sonic or something.
Delta Sonic. What? I can't hear you.
Someone spraying my car. The car wash is too loud.
Car wash.
But hopefully that'll be, because I'm getting married.
Yeah, Dave's getting married. All you ladies, I'm sorry. The man is off the market.
Aaron's been off the market before we started the show. So
I was off the market even after, even before I was married. People were like, all the girls like, oh. No. But Bigfoot was like,
Bigfoot is all. I mean, Bigfoot's his first true love. So.
Yes.
When he showed you his pizza, it was love at first bite.
If you want to know our Bigfoot joke, you have to watch or listen to our
Dune episode 7,
which will come out
before.
You'll hear that before this. Yeah.
It'll be up before this one.
All right, cool guys. Thank you so much, Brad, for that awesome email and our response. I hope our response was cogent.
I mean, it was such a long email. We were trying to break it up in chunks so we could talk about it in beds. Because
it's a loaded potato. It's a loaded potato. The whole subject.
When we've read long emails before and tried to answer them after, we've missed lots of stuff to respond to. So I figured chunks would be the best way of going through it.
Chunks, yes. Yeah, absolutely. And so thank you for that email. Obviously, Lower Decks, we're excited to see that because it does look exciting, and hopefully
it'll be funny.
They'll be funny and they don't fuck it up. And obviously, Expanse is awesome. We're just loving that. And if you're not listening to Dune, please listen to Dune. Pick up a Dune book. It's quick reads, a couple chapters a week, and make it bite-sized pieces of recapping Dune chapter by chapter. We try to do 2 chapters a week. So
yeah, and I'm excited to get into it and get past where it starts differentiating more and more from the movie, because everyone says, I've never read Dune from cover to cover before, so like everyone says Dune is like one of this pedestal of like great sci-fi. So I can't wait to finish it cover to cover and be like, why see like what everyone's been talking about, and like see why this is one of the greats of science fiction. So I'm really excited to see the book finally after seeing the movies many times.
The movie going like, I don't get it. It's okay. It's weird.
Yeah.
The book is weird too, but anyways, so tune into Dune, and like Dave said, he's getting married, so congratulations, Dave.
Thank you.
You getting married, it's a very...
Actually, by the time this episode drops, I will be married,
but
I won't be recording for the next episode that Aaron will be on, so it's timey-wimey sci-fi stuff with the podcast release dates.
Exactly. But yeah, congratulations, and I hope
Aaron's
you guys...
the best man.
I am the best man, and I will try not to embarrass you.
Oh, I'm always embarrassed, so it's fine.
It's okay. It doesn't matter.
It's how I live my life.
That's great. All right, guys. Well, hey, everybody, if you have different thoughts, different feelings about what we're saying, if you have more to chime in about Beyond the Fire of the Star, if you want to talk about The Expanse, if you want to talk about Lower Decks or Dune, please hit us up. You can hit us up on our Facebook page, Facebook.com/groups/Synthaholics. A lot of people talk and chat there. You can email us at synthaholics@yahoo.com. You can tweet at us at Synthaholics Duo. Awesome stuff. And if this show is something you want to support, we would love to help have some of that support monetarily and go to our Patreon /Synthaholics. That would be awesome as well. All right, guys. More Expanse coming. Dave's going to do his nuptials. And we don't know what's going to happen.
Probably more Expanse.
Probably more Expanse, right? All right, guys. Until next time, live long and prosper, one and all.
Don't let the proto-molecule turn you blue.
No!
Well, McCoy, my boy, come mix me a drink. Before the night's over, I'll puke in the sink. And we'll cry till we laugh. And we'll both shit our pants. You're the best drinking friend I ever had.
Yeah. This is such a perfect show.
It is a great show. I don't know what. I don't know. How can you have a show like that and then have like the hot heap of garbage of Picard?
Alex Kurtzman.
I know,
Alex
but it's
Kurtzman has nothing to do with The Expanse, which is probably why it's so great.
I don't know. It's just weird to me because they're like, come on.
I don't know. Just Star Trek's in terrible hands right now, and Star Trek will probably be mediocre until it's out of these terrible hands.
That's part of the thing. Is like,
it's just. I mean, it is what it is. It's just like all of our favorite franchises right now are in the worst possible hands. Kathleen Kennedy knows nothing about Star Wars, and she's driving Star Wars into the ground. Alex Kurtzman and Akiva Goldsman also know nothing about Star Trek, and they're running that into the ground. I mean, The Expanse, the show actually, I think, has like the writers. I think they're producers, or I think they work on the show, or like they oversee something. Like, they're involved with the show in some capacity. So, like, the integrity of the original material is there. And actually, someone mentioned on our YouTube channel that like Christian isn't in the first book at all. She doesn't show up till the second book, but they love her characters. The actress that they got for her, they wanted her so bad they just wrote in a lot more parts for her for season 1 so that they could get the actress.
Nice.
So like all the stuff like that is all for season 1 is all supplemental. That wasn't in the book. So that's awesome, and she's an awesome character, and it's really cool. Like I don't know, I mean that was really cool, and since the authors are involved, they're able to like make it seamless and make it work. And so I thought that was really cool that they wanted her. I'm glad they did because she's an amazing actress.
Oh, she's great, and just the character's great too. And it kind of tells like the the backstory of all the like the politics behind everything
and the stuff happening on Earth. So, I mean, it's super important for the show to have that information.
Right.
I mean, the book is good, but I mean, like, it's definitely different from the show. And I think the show, just for ease of consumption, having that jump back to Earth to see what's going on is definitely super helpful.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's good stuff.
I mean, like the only thing bad I can say about the show is like each season starts feeling a little bit different, and that's not even a bad thing. It's just like the books are different. I mean, you got to
move on because you can't keep with the same thing. You got to keep on moving along and changing things up. Yeah,
like absolutely. Season 1, like it sets up everything. Season 2 and season 3 kind of carry that along, and then season 4 is almost kind of like a reset. Almost, I don't know. It's weird. Like it's like I mean. I'm excited to see where it goes because, I mean, in a way it's a reset, but in a way it's still the same thing that's been going on. It's just, I don't know, it's just so much to it. It's so good. I'm really excited to see how season 5 is going to play out because, I mean, the books are beyond the show, but, man, I'm excited. And I want to try and finish the books before season 5 comes out, too, so I've got a lot of work to do to get there. I've got the first 2 books on audiobook. I'm only like a couple hours into the first book, but...
Cool.
I'm trying to work my way through them.
I've been definitely making an effort to do a lot more reading. Especially I try to do it in the morning. I know sometimes I can't do it as much, but I try to take at least like a half hour, like my morning coffee. Don't get on the internet. Just open a book and read for a little bit. Just kind of like it's a nice like quiet moment because I usually wake up before anybody else does too. So
that's good. I mean, my dad would like. I always put on like freaking baseball games and then read books while watching the baseball game. Like, Dad, can I watch TV? He's like, no, I'm watching the game. Like, no, you're reading. And I'm like, if you want to listen to the game, put on the radio.
Yeah.
It was so annoying growing up. I'm like, I can't do anything. I want to play a game or watch a show.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, no, Dad's watching baseball and reading a book.
Well, that just shows you how exciting baseball is. And golf's no better, so.
Yeah.
Every time my dad was a big golf fan, so he'd watch golf on TV, and it'd be so boring.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's making that putt right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, it went right in.
Those balls are sinking in that hole. Those holes.
Yeah, exactly.
They're supposed to go in holes, not balls. Pretty sure they're doing the sex part wrong.
You guys are idiots.
You're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong.